Hello, I'm Jess from PASS. Welcome to PASS Presents. Today I'm joined by Kevin Smith, Chauvin Arnoux' Head of Commercial Operations. Welcome, Kevin.
Hello.
Now you're here to talk to us about the Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar Power Quality Analyzers. You're going to be talking us through their capabilities and applications, as well as their features and functions. Hopefully you'll find this video informative and interesting. However, if we do miss anything, please feel free to leave us a note in the comments, and remember to like and subscribe and share this video with anyone you think it might help. Before we get started on the Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar Power Quality Analyzers, please could you just give us a quick overview of what power quality is and why it's important to monitor it?
No problem. So power quality is basically measuring the quality of your power to your installation from that side of things. So quality is about being fit for purpose. So what we do is we check to see that the electrical installation actually meets the standards required by the customer. So that could be specific published standards. Well, that may just be operational requirements from the customer.
Yeah.
So using the power quality analyzers, we can actually measure what's going on with the electrical installation and compare it to the standards and make sure it's fit for purpose.
And why is it important to monitor power quality?
So often with power quality, you don't actually know what's going on with the installation until you look. You may see many symptoms like premature failure of equipment. You may get nuisance tripping. You may get, poor energy performance, high electricity bills, but you don't necessarily know why. You've just seen the symptoms.
Yeah.
So the diagnosis is where the power quality analyzer comes in.
Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar range encompasses a lot of models. So which ones are we talking about today?
So here today we've actually got the what I would refer to as probably the normal Qualistar, the Qualistar Plus range, which is our 8331, 8333 and 8336. The 8336 model is one I've got here. And we've also got our relatively new Class A power quality analyzer, the CA8345.
Okay, so briefly, what is the difference between the Qualistar Plus and Qualistar Class A?
So the Qualistar Plus range really is the standard range of power quality analyzers that many people would use. Starting with our sort of entry level, which is the 8331, then moving through the 8333 up to our sort of, fully functional really 8336, which is capable of doing a majority of the power quality analyzing that people would want. We've recently brought out the Qualistar 2 range. This is sort of Qualistar 2. This is the first in the new generation of power quality analyzers. As you can see by the different form factor, we now incorporate a touch screen. And this is for the first time for Chauvin Arnoux. This is actually a Class A certified power quality analyzer that's been added to the range.
Right, so let's start with the Qualistar Plus range. Could you tell me what they're used for?
Yeah, so the Qualistar Plus range really, which is the 8331, 8333 and 8336, so we've got pretty much 3 models in the range. And they are used for what I would say the general power quality type functions. So we looked at what a power and energy logger is in the last video, and we said that a power quality analyzer really then looks for faster events, and it also is useful because we've actually got the display on the screen and we can see more stuff in real time. So something like our 8331 tester doesn't have a massive memory inside it for storing things, so it probably wouldn't be suitable for logging over long periods of time, but it's great because you can actually see everything that's going on the screen. So a particular customer who may want to do some real-time diagnostics and isn't as bothered about logging over long periods of time might go for something like the 8331. Whereas somebody who wanted a product with a larger memory capacity and the ability to measure readings over a longer period of time might go towards the 8336. The difference is also can be the number of current and voltage inputs as well, varies depending on the device. So really the sort of top end of the Qualistar Plus range is the 8336, which has got the 4 current inputs and gives you really all of the flexibility to do a majority of the power quality test that you would want to carry out, whereas something like the 8331 is a more entry-level product, really aimed more at real-time analysis and actually looking at things in real time and not so much measuring over long periods.
Yeah, okay. And so could you tell us a bit about their key features and the advantages of these power quality analyzers, please?
Yeah, so one of the things we sort of pride ourselves on with Chauvin Arnoux power quality analyzers, and you can see this mirrored with the newer models as well, is a very easy and simple user interface.
Yeah.
So everything is based really around these sort of blue buttons on the front here, where you can actually see all of the different features that are in here. So whether it's looking at waveforms in real time, it's looking at harmonics, it's maybe doing some trend mode analysis, or even setting alarms so we can monitor the installation and look for particular events. So if the voltage goes over a certain amount, it'll record that event, or goes under a certain amount. We've also got the ability to look for transients and inrush currents, so the faster events, we can set it up and wait for it to trigger when those events happen, and they will be captured within the device. So these are great devices for anybody who's looking at really the power quality parameters and wanting to actually record what's going on, but also to be able to see it in real time on here and get the advantage of having a really simple, really easy user interface. And the great thing is with these is pretty much everything is all on the device.
Okay.
So we do have accompanying software. So we do have our PAT software. Power Analyzer transfer software that goes along with these, and we can download the results and analyze those afterwards. But a majority of stuff can be done on the screen, on site, in real time, which is, you know, really powerful for somebody who's doing power quality analysis on site and wants to get on with it there and then. They don't want to just do it and then have to put it onto a PC and look what's going on. It's all there on the screen in your hands in front of you.
Efficient.
Yeah.
And just with the software, is that an additional purchase, or is that provided with the...
No, the Power Analyzer transfer is free. So that's free software. So that's often something that's missed with our products, is even with the PEL transfer software that comes with the PELs, or the PAT transfer that comes with these, what the customer can do is they can even provide that to their customer.
Oh, okay.
So rather than giving them a PDF document that they've got to try and look at and zoom in, they can actually give them the free download link for our software and the original download files, and the end user customer then can zoom in, zoom out, forwards, backwards, you know, export data and do all of the things, you know, really with that data and really get the most use out of the data. So that's a real strength that actually we don't always talk about enough with these products, is the ability to actually have that free analysis software.
Makes it really customizable to what you need, doesn't it?
And really powerful for the customers, because often a customer may be actually carrying out a logging session on behalf of their client, and their client will want to analyse the data. Maybe that's a consultant or an engineer who needs that data for something, or maybe an installer. Yeah. So being able to actually pass that data on and not having an extra charge for the software is a really powerful tool, and actually why a lot of people actually choose these products, because the software is freely available.
So what sort of electrical systems can the Qualistar Plus power quality analyzers be used on?
So generally they can be used on pretty much any electrical installation you're going to come across. Okay. So with the inputs, generally they're designed obviously for use with probably three-phase normal mains 230 volts. 400 volt electrical installations, but there is an option in here that if they've been used with voltage transformers, they can be used on high voltage installations as well. We've also got a wide range of current sensors that are available that make them, you know, applicable to AC and DC circuits and different ranges of DC circuits. We've even got current sensors that can again be used with current transformers on high voltage installations, so we can measure virtually anything from high voltage substations all the way down to individual pieces of equipment within installations, and even DC.
Can they be used on single and split phase, or is it just three phase?
No, they can be used on single phase as well. So single phase, split phase, three phase, all sorts of parameters. Effectively, you've got sort of 4 current inputs on this 8336, and we've got 5 voltage inputs on there as well. So it's very flexible. It just comes down to how you set it up within the instrument, and also what current sensors you're using with that, because obviously different current sensors, you know, we've got current sensors from sort of a meter long and even longer than that, all the way down to smaller, more sensitive current clamps as well. So there's a massive range of different inputs you can have with these devices to make them suit a wide range of electrical installations.
So there's really no installation that they can't be used on?
No, pretty much that's it, yeah.
What sort of buildings can they be used to analyse?
So generally these would normally be sort of more commercial industrial type installations, and I say they're normally used in that environment just because that's generally where most power quality surveys carry out. You could use these on a single phase circuit in a home if you wanted to. It's unusual as that as an application, because quite often you don't normally see sort of serious power quality issues at that level, but they would be suitable for that. We could measure DC installations, so for example PV systems you could actually analyse, but generally these are normally used in sort of commercial, large industrial type 3-phase installations where we're looking for specific power quality issues. But as I said, we've actually got the option to use these with current transformers and with voltage transformers, so they could even be used on high voltage infrastructure like a high voltage substation or something like that as well. So you've really got the full range, all the way from sort of utility scale all the way through to even down to domestic and even a single circuit if you wanted to.
So considering all that, to whom would you recommend the Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar power quality analyzers?
So really, these are targeted at people who are working in, as I said before, sort of larger commercial or industrial type installations where they want to get a grip on what's going on in the installation, where that's looking at energy efficiency. So they're trying to target energy efficiency savings and things like that, maybe power factor and other parameters like that to make the installation more efficient, or maybe people who are diagnosing specific issues relating to power quality. So that may be premature failure rates, that could be nuisance tripping, all sorts of things. We also see these used a lot in commissioning. So if somebody's building a new data center, for example, they want to prove that the electrical installation, the supply to it, is clean and meets the power quality standards. And when the battery backup systems kick in, then that doesn't affect the installation, things like that. So these can also be used in commissioning as well to actually prove a new installation to make sure that it's safe. So generally it would be electricians, electrical engineers who are probably going to be using these, but we do also see building owners, we also see facility managers and people like that actually buying and installing these devices to get a grip on what's going on with the electrical installation as well. So there's a very wide user base for these type of products.
Yeah, and lots of people could benefit from
almost anyone really from that side of things. But yeah, we do have a typical user base, which is your sort of electricians and facilities people and engineers who are really into that area of work.
Okay, so moving on to the Qualistar Class A or Qualistar 2. Please could you tell us what makes this a Class A instrument?
Yeah, so Class A is a really, really important thing to fully understand. And this is the fact that this device has actually been externally certified. So it's been certified by an independent laboratory to IEC 61000-4-30 standard, which basically means that all the way this calculates all of its information has been externally checked and proven. So it's not like with the normal Qualistar Plus range. These are certified by Chauvin Arnoux. So we actually publish, if you look at the manuals, there's a massive list in the back of all the equations that's used to calculate all of the parameters. That's great until you start comparing with other manufacturers who maybe do things in a different way. And you think, well, how many different ways can you measure something like power? But this comes down to like, how do you round up values? Do we round it up and someone else rounds it down or something like that? Whereas with the Class A standard, that is all specifically to the standard. And it's every little bit of it is externally certified. So you know if you're using a Class A device, you can compare that to any other Class A device in the world, and they should be measuring exactly the same. Obviously within the accuracy limits of the instrument, but they should be, the methodology used for measurement should be exactly the same.
So you'll get repeatable, comparable results.
Exactly, and quite often our customers may be using 3 or 4 of these things to do one logging job, and they may be at different parts of the building. So one part of the Class A standard actually requires an accurate timing standard. So built into the 8345, we've actually got a GPS unit, which provides a really accurate timing signal. So if an event happens on this device here, we can actually look at exactly the same time as a different remote device and compare those readings to see if that event was actually seen elsewhere or whether it actually happened at a different time. So it's really important for synchronization between devices, and that's where Class A really steps up.
Does that make it easier to sort of trace cause and effect throughout circuits?
It certainly does, particularly if you're using multiple devices. So using multiple devices together, or even if you were using sort of different types of device or different manufacturers of devices, comparing those, particularly if you were trying to challenge, say, a reading taken by maybe a distribution network operator, and you wanted to provide evidence of your readings, they would probably expect you to have a Class A device. And what we're seeing now is that the needs for customers are often contracts if you're doing Class A power quality surveys, we quite often see that they are specifying the use of a Class A device now. So very much Class A is now becoming the new standard within the industry. And this is why we've now added a Class A device to our range.
So bearing all that in mind, what's the benefit to the end user then of having a Class A power quality analyzer?
Again, it's almost a bit like quality. It's fitness for purpose.
Yeah.
So in a majority of things, if you were just fault finding, you're looking for events within the installation, things like that, a non-Class A device is perfectly adequate for that. You know, it will provide those things. The actual added degree of certainty that you get from a Class A device really comes into when you're comparing to other measurements, or when you want to know that that is 100% to a particular standard, usually for evidentiary reasons where you want to, you know, take that to a distribution network operator or a third party and say, we've taken these readings, we know they're 100% bang on because we used a Class A device to do that.
Yeah. So tell us about the Qualistar Class A power quality analyzer. What can it be used for? What are its key features, advantages?
So generally all the things we talked about with the 8336, you can do with the 8345. So it has better performance in terms of its transient detection and things like that. So it does add a big upgrade over the capabilities of the existing platform in many areas. I won't go into those specifically now. It's also got more in the way of energy. So we've got this new watt hour mode in there. So there's a lot more sort of energy in there. You can even with the 8345 actually put in a unit cost for electricity, and it will give you the sort of pounds, shillings and pence, for want of a better term, of what you're actually using. So it has got a few more energy features in there. From a harmonics point of view, it actually goes up to the 63rd harmonic. So this only goes to the 50th harmonic. It's actually going up to the 63rd harmonic.
And why is that significant?
So generally what you'll see now with power quality standards is that harmonics are becoming more and more important. And with a lot of particularly motor drives and things like that, harmonics at higher frequencies are becoming more prevalent, and people are actually looking more for higher frequency harmonics than they were probably in the past. That's been driven by a lot of sort of new designs of motor drives and things like this, where we want to see, so that the higher the frequency, generally the more information it will give you, and also the ability to look at into harmonics as well. So that's the frequencies between the frequencies, and actually really get into those. So yeah, so the 8345 actually adds more in that regard. But where it really stands over the top of the existing Qualistar range is in terms of connectivity.
Okay.
So we've actually got Wi-Fi on this, we've got network capabilities, we've got the ability to dial into it remotely, and it will actually do screen mirroring to any device that's connected to the same network. So if you've got an Android device, an iOS device, you can literally mirror the screen off that onto the phone in your hand and drive the device from any browser-based system.
Does that mean you could leave it in place and then go and do another job somewhere else?
Yeah, so you could leave it in place and come back and check it. You could be wandering at other points around the factory, so you can actually effectively use it. But also from a safety point of view, this might be connected up in a system that you've got to isolate, you've got to de-energize, and you don't want to have to do that every time you go into work. Yeah. So you could actually stand at a safe distance and actually monitor the device and drive the device from a safe distance using something like screen mirroring or remote access actually into the device. So that's where we see the new generation of Qualistars coming in, is actually it's the connectivity, it's the sort of the ability to remote into these devices and actually control them remotely that really starting to make the difference now.
Yeah, it improves safety and job efficiency, doesn't it?
Exactly, from that side of things, and it just gives you that ability. You don't have to be physically here pressing the buttons on the thing to actually operate it. You know, you can be sat at your desk in the office, maybe monitoring 3, 4, 5 of these devices on site and seeing what's going on, checking the alarms, checking the alerts, and then return back to them after a period of time. So the remote connectivity really is the game changer between the existing Qualistar range and where we're getting into now with the 8345.
And what sort of electrical systems can the Qualistar Class A be used on?
So very similar to when we talked about the existing Qualistar range. On the 8345, we've actually got the 4 current inputs, 5 voltage inputs on there. So generally we can use these on single phase installation, single phase equipment, 3-phase equipment, DC equipment. We've got a wide range of current sensors, and interestingly enough, our current sensors that work with the PELs are the same current sensors that work with the existing Qualistar, are the same current sensors that work with that. So we've actually kept that continuity through. So a lot of times people spend money buying additional accessories, additional clamps that they want to use, and maybe they're thinking of upgrading from an 8336 to an 8345. The great thing is they don't have to go and buy all of those current sensors and everything again. All of their current sensors will generally work directly with all of the products within the range, which is a great feature.
So what sort of buildings would the Qualistar Class A be used to monitor?
So generally, again, this is you're looking more your sort of high-end commercial, industrial type installations where we're looking at. So that could be schools, hospitals, it could be factories. A lot of these are used, where there's production lines, production equipment. Data centers is becoming a big thing. So actually using these to monitor data centers and actually the supplies to, computers, computer servers, all those sort of things. They can be used for that. But again, that doesn't preclude the fact that you could even use these to just monitor a small circuit in your own home. They have got the ability to measure everything from even up to high voltage installations all the way down to just a simple single phase circuit. So there really isn't any installations that you couldn't measure with the CA8345 and the right sensors.
Very versatile. So considering all that, to whom would you recommend the Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar Class A Power Quality Analyzer?
So really the Class A is our top of the range power quality analyzer. So anybody who's serious about getting into power quality analyzing really should be taking a look now at the CA8345. Yeah. The main reason for that is that it future proofs them over what they would get with a normal existing Qualistar product. So the 8345 really gives them the ability to say that their measurements are certified to Class A. Yeah. So that adds an extra sort of standard to their work. It actually gives them that extra string to their bow when they're bidding for contracts or doing work. Mm-hmm. And it actually gives them the extra flexibility of the remote connectivity, which is great really if you're running a business. You want to be able to connect it in and maybe check in on it remotely, or the extra, like we said, safety benefits of being able to remotely access a unit without having to go in and shut everything down first. So anybody who's looking at getting into power quality, really, and that's probably is electricians, electrical engineers, but it could even be like business owners and facility managers and people who are actually invested in having one of these sort of within their toolkit available to their staff. But yeah, certainly anybody who's thinking of getting into power quality really should have a look at the CA8345, because the benefits it brings over the more traditional products really are worth a look. Yeah, so
initially it seems like quite a big investment, but you'll make your money back through sort of energy savings, new streams of revenue.
Yeah, and I think just having the ability to say that you're Class A certified, so you've actually got the Class A certified measurements, the remote access, and also the ability to detect sort of a wider range of events and things like that with the CA8345, I think warrants anybody taking a look at this product.
Yeah. One of the common bugbears that we hear from electricians and facilities managers is that getting to grips with power quality analysis and power quality equipment can be quite time consuming, and their jobs are time sensitive. Yeah. So what have Chauvin Arnoux done to make installing and using the Qualistar Plus and Qualistar Class A instruments easy and efficient?
So we've done a lot to actually make these products easy and efficient for the customers, and obviously answer a lot of their queries along the way. So the first thing we do is we keep a standard user interface. So you can see throughout the generations, and even if I put the earlier generations in here, we have a very standard user interface, which is based around the sort of screen, the soft keys, and the blue buttons generally taking, you sort of got one button push for all the different modes that you want to take and get to. And that follows on through the range. So if we've got a customer who's been using Chauvin Arnoux products before, they can move very quickly between our products, and same with the software, it's very similar, so we've kept all that together. We've also spent a lot of time on producing our how-to videos on our YouTube channel. So if you want to know how to do anything on the Qualistar or the A345, you can literally go to our YouTube channel, and there's short videos on there telling you exactly step by step how to do these things. One of the other differentiators that we're really proud of with Chauvin Arnoux is that we're always on hand to support and help our customers. Mm-hmm. So it's very common that actually when they buy a product, we'll probably go out on site, hold their hand a little bit while they're, doing their first jobs. And then we're available via, the telephone or Teams to help them through. And even afterwards, if they've downloaded the results and need some help with the software or maybe analysing results, they quite often give us a call and we help them out with that. So we recognise that power quality is quite new for some people, and they're starting to get into it. They need that help and support. But I don't think, and I would say there's been a staff Chauvin Arnoux member, I don't think anybody else actually provides the level of ease of use and support that Chauvin Arnoux do if a customer is looking to get into power quality.
But on the actual instruments, do you have like help screens and guides and things like that?
So yeah, funny enough, you've got a little button on each one. So at any point on any of the screens where you don't know what you're doing, you press the help screen, it will bring up a guide on the screen to help you with that. But I say we also have our videos, and we've actually got a dedicated app as well where you can download and store the videos and actually play those back, which will help you actually find out what you need to do in specific scenarios.
And is that available on iOS and Android?
Yes.
Yeah. Power quality analyzers, they gather a lot of complex data, and this data overload can be quite intimidating for some users. Therefore, how do the Qualistar Plus and Qualistar Class A make data interpretation easier for the user?
So there's a number of ways we made data interpretation easy for the user. The first thing is really by the setup. So what we try and advise people to do is only record the data that they really want.
Yeah.
The temptation is with any user is to go in and tick every box. I want to download everything. I want all the data every second, and I want to know these 50 odd parameters, and they go in. So the first thing is to actually go in, set it up, and just record the data that they actually need. We have got useful functions on here, this little bell or alarm icon you'll see on there. So we can actually set alerts for specific parameters. So if we wanted to know if the voltage goes over a certain level, you can actually set an alarm for that, and it will record that in there. So you'll know at what point in time it actually went outside of those parameters without having to just scroll through loads of graphs to try and do that. What we also find is with our PAT software, so we have PAT 2 and PAT 3 for these products here. Within our PAT software, we have a very simple user interface in there, and it is quite easy to just go through the individual parameters, to scroll through and actually look at the events and be able to apply filters to sort of, narrow down on one particular phase or one particular part of the data and actually analyze it quite simply. So one of the compliments that we have had from a lot of our customers is that they do really like the software and how the software works. They found the software quite intuitive and easy to use. So I think we do have a range of options available there by setting the instruments up right in the first place, and then by using the filters and the options within the software to actually narrow down on the data. And of course, as we said before, we were always there to help the customers as well with that. So if they do have any problems, we're always on hand to help.
Business owners, facilities managers and electrical contractors have to maintain compliance with power quality regulations. However, these standards are ever evolving. So what do the Qualistar Class A and Qualistar Plus do to help users maintain compliance with these standards?
So basically, these products are obviously designed to comply with the standards in the first place.
Yeah.
So the customer doesn't always have to worry too much about this, because what you can do is you can go into our PAT software and actually download the configuration straight onto the device. So you can tell it you want to do a monitoring session in line with the standards, and that will actually set up the monitoring session on this. You tell it when you want to start, when you want it to end, and then you can download that back, and it goes into a standard format specifically for those standard surveys. So when the standards change, the great thing is with these products is that we can change the firmware, we can change the software, and they're continually upgraded to meet the latest standards.
One of the other things that is ever changing due to the advances in new technology is the types of systems that are being installed. So some of the concerns we hear about are whether power quality analyzers can be used to monitor green technologies and how easily they can be integrated into smart systems and buildings. So considering that, could you speak to whether they can be used to monitor green technologies and whether there are any limitations in those circumstances?
Yeah, so generally, yes, they can be used to monitor green technologies, and they are being used for this all the time. And more and more each day, we're seeing people, specifically installers, who are doing surveys before installing maybe a big PV system, or maybe they're looking at adding batteries to an existing PV system. Or, I've recently talked to somebody who was doing some work with wind turbines, and so they are being used for that all the time.
Yeah.
Generally, from a limitations point of view, they've been used probably on the AC side of the systems.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that they can't be used on the DC side. So if they are going to be used on the DC side, then generally you would need a different set of current transformers that were sensitive to DC.
Yeah.
So that would normally be the current clamps. that were DC sensitive. So that would be the main limitation, is just making sure that you've got the right clamps to be able to monitor DC against AC. But yes, these are used all the time on renewables technologies. When it comes to smart tech, obviously going with the CA8345, we've got the different connectivity options. So these can be connected into the network, and they can actually be connected via Wi-Fi or network connections, and we can actually access them remotely. So that sort of fits in a bit more with the remote monitoring and that side of things. So yeah, they're perfectly set up for that industry and the sort of renewables market. And we do see that as a big growth area for power quality.
Do Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar power quality analyzers have a significant role to play in a sustainable future?
They have a massive role to play in a sustainable future. And the reason for that is because the grid is struggling to cope with the new challenges. So you've got an old grid, new technology, and we're trying to make all this stuff work together. And often that can be doing pre-surveys. So we're looking at the installation to make sure that when we do fit this renewable technology, that it's going to work with the existing installation that's there. Or maybe it could be fault finding if there's problems with the system, or actually just managing to balance that energy input, you know, from batteries, from the mains grid, from PV, from renewables. We have a very diverse energy mix. So the only way to get a grip of that is to use something like a power quality analyzer.
Now, I have several quick-fire questions based on the common queries that we get from our customers. So with respect to Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar Plus and Qualistar Class A analyzers, can they measure harmonics?
Yes. Easy answer, quick answer on that. Yes, they can measure harmonics, and that's what they use for a lot. With the normal Qualistar range, that's up to the 50th harmonic. With the new CA8345, that's up to the 63rd harmonic.
How long can they measure data for?
So it does depend, and this is very much a how long is a piece of string type question. It depends on how many parameters that you're actually measuring. So the memory cards within the devices are designed to log for, you know, a reasonably long period of time. So that's weeks, months, maybe that sort of scenario. But it does depend what you're measuring. So if you're trying to measure, you know, every 0.2 of a second, you're trying to measure all the harmonics, all of the data, all things, then obviously you'll get a shorter logging period. Whereas if you are measuring less parameters, then obviously you get a much increased logging period. We do actually have on our website a duration calculator that you can download, put in the parameters, and it will give you a rough idea for how long you'll be able to log. But really it does come down to how much you actually, you know, set in there. What you want to log is how much data you can store. You're also a little bit limited by large file sizes. You know, this is a typical issue that people do, where they record loads and loads of data, and then it takes ages to download and ages to analyze. So going back to what we said earlier, we always try and get people to log just what they need when they're doing the analysis, and that makes everything much easier. But to answer your question directly, you know, they are designed to carry out the sort of the normal power quality logging task. So you shouldn't really be limited by the memory in the devices.
Can the Qualistar power quality analyzers test generators?
Yes, as far as I'm aware. I don't know if there's any problems with testing generators with the power quality analyzers. We do have a lot of customers that work in the sort of generator field, particularly with things like festivals and mobile events. We're actually seeing a lot more of that, where they want to actually log the energy usage. And I think we spoke about this last time with the PELs, where people are actually using these now to actually calculate their carbon footprint for events. So actually often generators, they are logged with these devices, particularly backup generators as well, with places like data centers where they have backup generators. Sometimes these are used to log the changeover as well. So do
the Qualistar power quality analyzers require calibration?
Generally, with anything, we would probably recommend calibration. Calibration is generally down to the user, and it just depends what you're going to be using it for. But if you're going to rely on the accuracy of an instrument, generally it's a good idea to have it calibrated, and a power quality analyzer is no different in that regard.
And how can people go about getting their Qualistar power quality analyzer calibrated? Well,
I would find a good, reliable calibration company such as PASS and have a look at their calibration services.
Great. And you can find all that information on our website, www.calibrate.co.uk. Do the Qualistar power quality analyzers support remote operation?
So the conventional Qualistar range doesn't.
Okay.
But the new CA8345 does. So that's very much a differentiator between the two. So remote operation, so we can dial into this remotely via our server. So you can actually access this remotely from pretty much anywhere in the world if you've got it set up to do so. Or if you're connected to the same network, you can do screen mirroring. So you can actually look at the display on any browser. So whether that's Android, iOS, Mac, PC, whatever browser, you can mirror the screen and drive it just like you were stood in front of it, touching the screen in real life.
Can data be exported from the Qualistar power quality analyzers?
Yes. So power quality is all about the data. And realistically, getting that data off these devices is just a simple measure of connecting these up to your PC, or even we've got with the 8345, we've actually got the option to put a memory stick in, or we can just simply remove the SD card. We can remove the SD card from the Qualistar Plus as well, connect that up to the PC and download the data using our free PATS software.
Do the Qualistar power quality analyzers include built-in analysis and reporting functions?
Yeah, so within the instruments, you can actually look back at the recorded data on the screen of the instrument. So we can go in and actually review what's going on. We can also use these in real time to look at the data. And generally, that's what the screens are there for, is looking at things in real time. But you can review the data that's been recorded and actually look at the parameters within the devices before you download it into the software. Generally, downloading into the software is better because you've got a bigger screen, there's more tools, it's easier to drive with the mouse and things like that. But yes, you can record and review the data on the devices directly.
Do the Qualistar power quality analyzers support real-time analysis?
Yeah, so that's one of the key strengths, is real-time analysis for the Qualistars. So actually being able to see the data on the screen and actually get a real-time picture of what's going on is one of the key functions of these devices and where they really stand out for our users. So being able to use them in the field and actually get real-time views of what's going on when you're setting up a piece of equipment or you're fault finding, you're looking for faults. That's really the strength of these. And again, by having an even bigger screen on the newer CA345, we've really just enhanced and built on that function with the latest generation.
And how are the Qualistar power quality analyzers protected against rugged or challenging environments?
So generally, these are designed, there's pretty rugged instruments to start with. They are designed for industrial environments, so they're IP54 rated. So they are designed for use in industrial environments. They generally come with sort of carrying straps, carrying handles, things like that we can use. But we do actually have another model of the 8336, which is an IP rated product. So if we wanted to actually use it in an IP rated environment, which almost comes in sort of a big pelly case type construction for use outdoors, we do actually have that as another option within the range.
You've covered the eclectic and advanced capabilities of the Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar power quality analyzers, but they are expensive. So why should facilities managers, business owners, electrical contractors shell out for one of these testers? How are they going to benefit from them?
So yeah, the one-off purchase price of these devices is a significant cost. But when you look at that compared to the electricity use of a business, particularly if it's a large business, you could be wasting a lot of electricity and a lot of energy. So for a one-time purchase with a power quality analyzer, you can actually identify and make savings over a long period of time. So the payback on energy efficiency savings could actually pay for itself very quickly. Yeah. But also that saving is ongoing for a long period of time. Now, where they really start to pay for themselves is when you start looking at premature failure of equipment. So you could have equipment that's breaking relatively often. And if you look at downtime, say on a production line, if you've got a production line producing cars or something like that, and you have regular downtime on that production line, these could pay for themselves in a couple of shifts. Yeah. So really from that side of things, if you've got bigger installations, if you're a big electricity user, you should really have a look at a power quality analyzer, because actually you might not know you've got issues in there until you start looking, but when you start looking, the savings will be quite apparent.
Yeah, there's multiple streams of revenue that will make up the cost of one of these analyzers. There
is, and it is an upfront cost, but generally, once you actually identify these things, you're making those savings over a long period of time. And just downtime or failure of 2 or 3 pieces of equipment, when you're talking sort of industrial equipment, or I think the example I used earlier was an MRI scanner in a hospital, where you're talking £150,000 of, problems plus all the delays and things like that. So, if you've got that type of equipment, or say you've got a data center or something like that, where downtime is just, really, really expensive, the price for Power Quality Analyzer really pales into its significance compared to the savings that you can make.
Yeah, it's negligible, really.
It is.
Is it fair to say that Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar Power Quality Analyzers are the key not just to unlocking energy efficiency, but to revolutionising our energy landscape?
Yes, so the Power Quality Analyzer are really essential to looking at your energy usage, both from an energy savings point of view, but actually getting a grip of the now diverse range of energy inputs that we're trying to deal with an installation. So modern installations, we've got a creaking supply grid, we've got new technologies like PV and batteries and heat pumps and wind turbines and all of this going into the energy mix. The only way to get a grip of that is to have a product that can actually measure those diverse inputs and really give you the information that you need to make informed decisions. So yeah, these really are the key to unlocking those technologies for any user.
So a facilities manager, electrical contractor, business owner has decided to buy a Qualistar Power Quality Analyzer. Which one?
Right, so really the decision is depending on what they're looking for. So within the Qualistar, the conventional Qualistar range, the 8331, 8333 are really great at sort of real-time diagnostics, not long-term logging, but real-time diagnostics and really getting to grips with maybe commissioning electrical installations or doing real-time fault finding. If you want to get into a bit more long-term logging and things like that and maybe add the extra current input, then you're really getting onto the 8336. Yeah. So the 8336 is the sort of standard tool really for in the industry for doing power quality measurement. If you want to then add the remote access, the increased range of harmonics and extra sort of sampling times and things like that that are offered by the 8345, and obviously the Class A certification side of things is important, then really you should be moving towards the 8345. So as Chauvin Arnoux, we're really pleased that we've actually got a Qualistar for everybody.
Yeah.
So anywhere in your journey, depending on where you are, obviously do your research, speak to us, we're there to help. And we can advise you exactly where to go. But whatever your power quality needs, Chauvin Arnoux will have a power quality analyzer for you.
Our sales team is also available to talk you through Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar Power Quality Analyzer options. Great. So what about the kits? Are there any Qualistar kits you want to draw our attention to?
Yeah, so really with the products, one thing that people sometimes get confused with is when they buy the product, is what else do I need with it? We've already mentioned the software that sort of comes along free, so that's one thing you don't have to worry about from a Chauvin Arnoux point of view, is that you are going to get the software included in there. That's not an extra purchase. The main extra items are the current transformers that come with it. So generally we tend to bundle with the products the current transformers that you need to go, to do the majority of the logging and the power quality analysis that you're going to need. But that may be something people need to think about if they're going to measure, say, maybe DC installations, or they're measuring maybe high voltage installations and they need specific current transformers to go with that. We do have a new kit which we're excited to talk about, which is the CA8345 kit, which comes in a nice rigid hard case. So that protects the instrument, but it also puts everything you need in that bundle, and it's very easy to take out on site. So the 8345 kit is definitely worth a look for anybody thinking of getting into power quality analysis. All
right. Is there anything else you think we should know about the Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar Power Quality Analyzers?
So really, the power quality analyzers from Chauvin Arnoux, as we said, we've got a big range of products. But I think the key thing with the Chauvin Arnoux power quality analyzers is how easy they are to use and how easy they are to get into. So the main message that I like to get over to customers is don't get put off by power quality analysis. It is accessible. There are people there, we're there to help, and obviously PAS is there to help in that regard to get people up and running with power quality analysis. So it's not as difficult as it looks. Yeah. And I think once you start getting into it, it is quite addictive, and the customers that I've spoken to really start looking into the graphs and what's going on here, what's going on there. So they're really enjoying that. So I think the main message I'd like to get over to people is don't be put off. Don't think it's this inaccessible thing that's really hard to get into. Power quality is quite accessible. There's a lot of tools there to help you with that, and the ease of use of the Chauvin Arnoux products really aids in that regard. So I would say anybody who's thinking about this, sees this video and really is interested in power quality, just get into it, have a go, speak to somebody, speak to us, speak to PAS, and have a go at it, and I think you'll reap the benefits straight away.
Great, thank you. Finally, if you were to summarise the Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar Power Quality Analyzers in 3 words, what would they be?
So I think with the power quality analyzers, 3 words is easy, because they're easy to use, but very, very powerful in what they can do for your business.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you for speaking with us today, Kevin.
Okay.
I hope you found that informative and interesting. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe and share this video with anyone you think it might help. As ever, if we did miss anything, please leave us a message in the comments. Remember to look out for our companion episode with Kevin about power quality. And all information about the Chauvin Arnoux Qualistar Plus and Qualistar Class A power quality analyzers can be found on our website, www.tester.co.uk.